Well, hello. Hello to first and second grade, my dear students. Hello to any preschoolers who might be watching. Welcome to worship number 3 of the 4 video worships that we're doing together this way. I'm going to start today by turning on the candles. These little pretend flames remind us that the Lord's warm, beautiful love is always with us, but especially during worship when we're thinking about Him. Here's His open word to remind us that He's here too. And I would like to start with a song that my students know. We'll sing just one part of it. It's called When He Cometh. That means when the Lord comes to gather us up and lift us to heaven. And then we're like jewels, bright shining jewels in His crown. So let's start with When He Cometh. When he cometh to make up his jewels, all his jewels, precious jewels, his loved and his own, like the stars of the morning, his bright crown adorning, they shall shine in their beauty, bright gems for his crown. What we're going to sing today. And then I'm going to say the invitation to prayer. That means the Lord is inviting us to be with Him, and we're inviting ourselves to be with the Lord. The Lord is in His holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before Him. Let us pray. So today I would like to do the prayer that the Lord taught us, but the way my students love so much, and that's to sing it. And you'll notice that the tune we're singing is exactly the same as the song we just sang, When He Cometh, but the words are different. So here we go with Our Father, Our Father. Our Father, you are in the heavens. Hallowed, hallowed, holy, holy is your name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as it is in heaven, so upon the earth. Please give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine the kingdom and the power and the glory. Amen. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. He's so good to me. And He is good to us, isn't He? Well, today we're starting to read stories about how the Lord's life got so hard because He is now going to be going into the time when He needs to let the scribes and Pharisees catch Him and get Him in trouble, give Him over to the Romans, who were allowed to kill Him if the Romans thought He had done something bad enough, which of course He hasn't. But He could have stopped that at any time because He had the power, and He knew He needed to let all these bad, sad things happen. They will end with Him dying on the cross and coming back to life, of course. But only He knew that. Right now, He is in the biggest fight of His life. He's fighting against evil spirits who want Him to stop. The evil spirits are telling Him, you'll never win. We're in control. You can't save the world. You can't save people from us. You might as well stop fighting now. It's going to hurt too much when you get nailed on the cross. You don't want to do that. Don't even try. Well, the only way Jesus could win was by saying no, 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 every time the evil spirits wanted Him to do that, to stop fighting. Well, there is one more nice thing that's going to happen for Jesus before the really hard stuff starts. He was in that beautiful happy parade on Palm Sunday. But don't forget, everyone was happy there except Jesus, who had happiness and sadness together, because He knew that in just a few days, people were going to be turning against Him and crying out, crucify Him. They were so disappointed that He didn't rise up as their king and fight off the Romans. They listen to the scribes and Pharisees at that time. They will. And they'll say, kill him. Kill him, even though they loved him so much on Palm Sunday. But this last thing that Jesus is going to do on the very night when all the hard stuff starts, he's going to have one more meal with his disciples. Now that meal is called the Passover. It's a special holiday that the people of Israel, the Jews, celebrate every year. They've been doing that for thousands of years. And it's a little bit like us sitting down with our families for Christmas. It's a special time. Well, here's Jesus sitting down with his friends, and the disciples are all gathered around him. He's handing out bread, and we'll see pretty soon that the bread and the wine are the two most important parts of that meal, even though there are other things to eat. Now, something you need to know is that just before this, one of the disciples named Judas had gone and gotten the Lord in trouble with the scribes and Pharisees. He went and told them where to find Jesus at night. Jesus would always hide away at night so that they couldn't come get him. But it's just about time to let them come get him. So he didn't stop Judas. He knew what Judas was doing, but he let Judas do it. Judas told the scribes and Pharisees where to find Jesus, and he knows they're coming later that night. Well, first, there's the food and time with his disciples. So, Jesus sits down with the 12. Judas is still with them at this point, and they're eating. They're eating special vegetables, special bread, special wine, special lamb meat. And as Jesus is eating, he says to his disciples, "Surely I say to you, one of you has betrayed me." That means I know one of you has already gotten me in trouble. Now, 11 disciples haven't gotten him in trouble, and they looked at each other. They must have and said, "Oh no, would I get my dear master in trouble? Did I get the Lord in trouble? Am I going to do that?" And they said, "Lord, is it me? Is it me? Is it me?" That would have been Peter and Nathaniel and James and John, all the ones who weren't getting him in trouble. But Jesus replied and said, "The one whom I'm dipping with in the dish, that's the one who's gotten me in trouble." And what you need to think about is pretend this is a plate of special dip that they would have dipped the bread in. And just at that very moment, Jesus must have been dipping, and Judas, the naughty disciple, or at least we'll think of him as the naughty one right now, Judas was dipping also. And as they dipped, Jesus said, "I know it was you." And Judas must have jerked his hand away, and everyone probably looked at him and said, "Judas, did you get the Lord in trouble?" Well, he knows now that Jesus knows. He left. He just left. Another part of the word says he departed quickly, and Jesus told him, go and do what you must do. Well, Jesus and 11 disciples are left, and I'll show you this picture again because this is actually him with the 11, and he's starting to serve some bread. There's going to be bread and there's going to be wine that he focuses on specially for this ceremony, for this meal. So what he does, the word says he breaks the bread and starts passing it around to his disciples, and they each take a piece, and he says, "Take, eat. This is my body." What? They must have thought to themselves, bread is not the same as a body. This is a body. How can bread be the Lord's body? We're not eating his body. And then it got even more confusing because Jesus poured the wine and started passing it around. He took a sip, and then they all sipped. And as they were drinking, he said, "Drink from this cup, all of you. This is my blood." Blood? Blood? Wine can be red like blood, but wine isn't blood, and we're certainly not drinking the Lord's blood, are we? No. They didn't realize, as often they didn't, that he was talking about the inside meaning of bread and wine. Now, my kids might remember, what does bread mean? It's the same as fire. A couple other things that we know about bread means love or goodness. So as they were eating that bread, Jesus was telling them, my goodness is going into you. Goodness was the bread. And then, of course, the Lord's wine is the same as water. and a couple other things that we know about. It means truth. And the Lord's blood also means truth. So as they were drinking the wine, it was showing the Lord's true ideas were going into them. Wow. They didn't understand that at the time, but they would find out later what he was talking about, because Jesus told them, next time you have the wine and the bread, remember me. Think about me. They didn't get it then, but you'll hear later in another story. The next time some of them have bread and wine, they think, oh yeah, that's right. We remember what he told us. Anyway, there's not much left for them to do. Jesus has told them over and over again that he's going to go away, that things are going to be sad and hard. He's going to die. They didn't understand that. The disciples couldn't understand how someone as powerful and great as Jesus could possibly die. Now we know he's going to let it happen because he had to fight those evil spirits. Here we go, fighting against evil spirits, the worst ones. But right now he's got to let the hardness start. He sings a song with his disciples, and then he says, let's go out to the garden. So out to the special garden they go at night. In a garden at night? Well, you'll see. There's some things that Jesus needs to do there to get ready for all the hard things that were just about to start happening. We'll hear more about that next time. That's actually our next story. I'm going to end our story right here after the story of the Last Supper. Next time we'll do the garden and what Jesus does there and how hard it is for him. Right now, keep in your mind that the Lord loves us. He loved his disciples. He gave them bread and wine. He wants us to have his true ideas and his goodness in our lives just the way he wanted it for his disciples and for everyone. And that's the end of today's story. And we're actually going to finish with singing a song that's about bread and wine that my students know, called Let Us Break Bread Together on Our Knees. It's a nice little song about being with the Lord and taking his holy supper, the bread and the wine. So here we go. Let us break bread together on our knees. Let us break bread together on our knees. When I fall on my knees with my face to the rising sun, oh Lord, have mercy on me. Let us drink wine together on our knees. Let us drink wine together on our knees. When I fall on my knees with my face to the rising sun, oh Lord, have mercy on me. The Lord bless us and keep us, and cause his face to shine upon us. Amen. That was our blessing. Now there's just two small things left to do to end this worship. We turn off our candles, and then we'll say, I pledge allegiance to the flag, which is a promise that we want to love and take care of the country that the Lord has given us, the United States of America. So here's the flag of the United States. And here's the hand that means love, along with bread and oil and all those other things. We love our country. We promise to take care of it if we possibly can. Here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll roll this up for next time. All right, that's it. Thank you for coming.